Levi Yitzchok, and also the day that the Rebbe celebrated his bris 118 years ago. I'd like to thank Rabbi Dovid Dubov from Princeton, New Jersey, who at a rather late notice was called upon to conduct tonight's Farbrengen. I will first begin with a l'chaim, that anyone around the world who has been affected and who needs a refuah shalema should have a refuah shalema takev miyad mamish. At the same time, obviously, those who have lost family members and loved ones, Hashem should comfort them. And from now on, we should only know of things which are toiv, hanir, v'anigla, and we should see the fulfillment of benissen niglu or benissen asidin lehigoyel takev miyad mamish. Without further ado, Rabbi Dovid Dubov.
I'm going to echo what my dear colleague, older, we learned from him always when I was younger, Bach in Yeshiva. We always used to look up to Rabbi Tannenhaus for the guidance of Shlichus. So I want to echo to wish a l'chaim to everyone. I'm sure everyone will say a l'chaim. The Rebbe mentioned that Chai, he asked many times that Chai Nissan, we should Farbrengen together in the honor of his father. So that's all. So it's important that not only we should say l'chaim, but everyone, wherever you are, is kedai to say l'chaim. And the Rebbe also mentions Chai brings chayos. This is what we need now. We need a lot of chayim. This is not a joke. And we just in the tefillas hatal l'chaim v'loi shouldn't be the opposite, chas v'sholem. So what's achshish Farbrengen can uftan can mach mechol nicht uftan. So we'll all say l'chaim together wherever we are. B'tziduf b'yachat, and the Eibusher should be true chayim to everyone. They should go. These who are in the hospital should come out. These need a refuah, and we should only have from now on only chayim for everyone. Chayim.
Chaim l'roch.
I want to start off with a something which is an init chodesh by me, which I just heard a few weeks ago. An unbelievable story from the Rebbe's father that I don't think was ever fully printed, or some people know about it, but I'll tell you what happened. In one of the shudas, I saw that there was a Yid, I think his name was Rabbi Menachem Mendel Sperlin. He's the father. These remember him. I remember him well, and he learned in Lubavitch. And he writes that there was a one time that he was in Yekatsinislav, and he was collecting money. He was fundraising for Tomchei Tmimim, and one of the places that he stopped was in Yekatsinislav by the Rebbe's father. And he writes over there that the Rebbe's father himself went with him to a shul, and the Rebbe's father gave a tremendous pep talk, a strong droshe for the oilam, and he said that he chazed that pirush on the Gemara about Chodesh Ezelachem, Hacheresh Hoyelibam, and he writes it very bekitzer. And he said it was a very, very arousing drosha that he gave. What's Tomchei Tmimim all about? And I asked so many people about it if they ever heard. Some people remember vaguely. And a few weeks ago, I happened to speak to Reb Zusha Wilhelm, who married a Zainikel. And yes, he told me he heard from his grandfather exactly what the drosha was. And not only that, but he said his grandfather once wrote down the whole drosha, and he sent it into the Rebbe. And the Rebbe answered him, very warm answer, and he wrote to Befrat, that you shared me a Torah from my father. So I'd like to open this to share with you the beautiful drosha that the Rebbe's father said, and it really has a connection to all of us. And then later on, I'm going to tie it into Pesach too. So he said, so let me tell you what the Rebbe's father darshaned. He once said the chidush of Tomchei Tmimim. He said like this: there's a Gemara in Shabbos, Daf Kuf Mem Zayin Amud Beis. And the Gemara says as a story. Omer Rab Chelboy says that Chamre the Prugaise. There's a certain wine, very, very royal wine, that's called Prugaise. Umaye de Yumsus, special water that's from the Yumsus. Kipchu Aseres Hashvatim Yisrael. This is really what tore away the 10 tribes from Bnei Yisrael, because they indulged themselves so much in Gashmias that they forgot they got involved in worldly, earthly things, and it tore them away from Torah. Then the Gemara continues with such a story. Rabbi Levi ben Aroch, one time Rabbi Levi ben Aroch, he came to that area. He got drawn to them. The learning that he had, the level that he came back to the Besmedish to learn. So come lemikre sifre. You want to know, learn the psukim. And boy lemikre, he wanted to read. Hachodesh azalachem, the pasuk this month. You know, when we have Parshas Hachodesh, the mitzvah from Kiddush Hachodesh, Hachodesh azalachem. This should be the new month for you. Oma, it came out of his mouth. Instead of Hachodesh, he said Hacheresh. Hoyo libam. Instead of Azeh, he said Hoyo. Instead of Lachem, it said libam, which means that it's going to be deaf for you. As if the Torah is not going to register. It's going to not for sure not the way it was before. Boy, the Gemara continues. Rabbanon rachmei aleo. The Rabbanon is chaverim, daven for him and asked the Eibushter mercy for him. V'hodeh Talmudah, and his Talmud came back. This is the Gemara. So the Rebbe's father says that the Chiddush of Tom Chatvim, you should know, lies in this Maimar Chazal. Why would the Torah even? Why would the Gemara tell us? So the Gemara says there are 3 types. The Rebbe's father continues, says, you know, when you come to a Yid and you tell him there's a Moisid who learns Nigla, learns Chassidus, there are 3 types of Jews. Some Jews are deaf. They're cheresh. You're talking to the walls. They don't even pay attention to what you're saying. Doesn't penetrate. They don't even get it what you're talking about. They're like deaf. That's one type of Jew. Another type of Jew, he says, learning Torah, Nikle, Chassidus, Hoya. That was in the past. That was Amalek. That was a Amalek Zeit. It was good. For us, we're living in modern times. What Torah? What Chassidus? We're living in a different generation. You know, America is Andish. So this is Hoya, another type of flaw could be of a group of Jew. Then the other Jew is, he knows, understands what you're all about, and he gets it. But you know what he says? Libam, I got you in my heart. I like you very much, but it doesn't come down to Peil Mamish. Famous Yiddish is saying, you know, Liebhaben und Zusagen kostet Geld, you know, to express a love to someone, but doesn't come down to Peil Mamish. That's called Libam, it stays in your heart. So the Rebbe's father continued, and he told the Oilam this is what Tom Chatvim is all about. That Torah Bayos is Hachodosh, every day it's new. We come into the Simcha. When you have something that's old, it loses its taste. But when you come with a Chayis, with a Simcha, every day it's a new life, then Torah is like a Chodosh. By a Bochen Tom Chatvimim, every time he's become a mitzvah, every time he learns a Indian, it's so tremendous chayes, because for him it's like new, even though he learned it 10 times already. And then another thing he says, Hazeh, he points to it, it's negated to him in his personal life. It's not something that Hoyo, that's in the past. No, it's not something over. When he learns something, he tries to, how it relates to him, in Hazeh today, Bohoive, Ubosid, how he could incorporate, Sai is Nigla, Torah, Sai is Nigla, Sai Pnimis HaTorah, it's Hazeh. And then it's lachem. He says, we all know the Gemara says, in Masechet Pesachim, the Gemara asks a question over there. How does a person celebrate Yom Tov? Which means just like we came from Pesach just a few days ago. So of course we have the mitzvah to eat the Sudas Yom Tov. We have to have the Seder both nights. But the Gemara has a question. How does a person celebrate the daytime? So Rabbi Lezer says, if you want, you could sit in Besmedish all day, daven b'avoida, your own work, you could sit and learn, you could sit and daven. It should be kulul Hashem. You have a ruchnistic life. You don't have to you have to eat the whole day. You can fast all day, just daven, learn. Kulei ruchnis, kulul Hashem. Rabbi Shua says, no. There's a pasuk we learn out, chetzi Hashem, Chetzi Lachem. Half of the day, or part of the day, you have to give away to the Eibush. That's why we daven. We have special tefillas. We say Hallel. That's why we have special keys HaTorah. You have to mitzvah to hear the chelik of the Ruchni Lashem for your neshama. But then some mitzvah Lachem has to come down. But mamish, you have to eat and drink and have a suda. So Lachem means that it comes down in mamish, not libom. I keep it in my heart. Lachem means Ma'aseh Hu'ike comes down in mamish. So this is what the Rebbe's father said, that the money that you're going to give, you should know you're giving it to a moiset or yeshiva. This is what the Gemara just telling us a story to embarrass Hashom Rabbi Lezer ben Azariah. The Gemara says, no, that this could happen to all of us. We shouldn't, Chas v'sholom, have a metzias from a chedesh. We should be deaf. Chas v'sholom shouldn't be to us hoya. It shouldn't be to us libom, only keep it in our heart. No, we should do everything with the chayis, hachodosh. It should be how it's negated to us in Peil Mamish, and Lachem, we should all bring it down, the Ma'aseh B'Poil. And Marabet's boy, Hazeh, it should be noticeable to us that we're chosen. This is the drasha that the Rebbe's father said. And like I said before, the Rebbe appreciated very, very much this chassid who he wrote this story down and he sent it into the Rebbe. So this was my opening thing, which even this is a new, I just heard a few weeks ago, this beautiful story, from the Rebbe's father. The Rebbe very, very much wanted, and very, very much wanted, tremendously, say him, and also, not him, he says, say the Rebbe, and the Rebbe Tzachane, tremendously, she writes in her diary, she says, I wish, this is what she writes, will come a day when my husband's Torah, my man, he was such a great man, that people should learn, appreciate who he was. There's no greater way to appreciate the Rebbe's father by learning a little bit from his wisdom. So when the Rebbe wanted we should Farbrengen on his day, he wanted also that we should chaza a vort, a pirush. So I want to tell you about Pesach. The Rebbe's father has, I'm telling you, a mind-boggling pirush, a biur, that I'd like to share with you. And I want to tell you, even though I'm a shliach here in Princeton, right before Pesach on the phone, I gave an hour shir, maybe even more than an hour, to a group of balabatim, and I explained every detail, the halacha about it, which we'll soon speak, and they all got it and they loved it. It explains something that we do on the Seder, which is unbelievable. Nobody else in the world ever has such a beautiful explanation like the Rebbe's father. And not only that, but there are some halacha shaylas that people try to find answers to, and the Rebbe's father has such a beautiful biur that answers all these kashas. If I would tell you all the kashas, he maybe answers 20 kashas in this sugya. So the Indian is like this. We know when a person asks a simple question, why do we have 3 matzahs on the table? On the kaida when you sit down for the Seder. So there's many biur about it, but Alter Rebbe Shulchan Aruch, he says very, very simple. And he brings down from the Rishonim, the Rosh, that every Shabbos, every Yom Tif, you have to have Lechem Mishneh. Just like we did the past few days. Wednesday night, Thursday night, we had 3 matzahs. Friday night, we had 2 matzahs, because a mitzvah to have Lechem Mishneh. And that's a mitzvah. Why? Where does it come from? We all know, it says in Pasha B'Shalach, that the mon came down from the Shemayim, the Eibishter told them it's going to come down every single night, and every single morning you're going to go and you're going to get your Asira Seifa, you're going to get your shiur, your oimer to eat. But Friday night, Shabbos is not going to come down. Kitchu b'mon and birchu b'mon. The Eibishter said, I want you to take a double share Friday, and it's going to become Nizborech, it's going to become larger, it's going to become a double share, and I'm going to show you the holiness of Shabbos. That's not going to come down Shabbos. So Friday night, the mon didn't come down. So to commemorate this, as we all know, that's why we have a mitzvah, even today, to commemorate this mitzvah that happened 40 years non-stop in the Midbar, that we have every Shabbos, every Yom Tif, we're supposed to have 2 challahs or 2 matzahs, whatever it is on Yom Pesach. The chidush of Pesach is, Dr. Rebbe says, the Gemara says, a pasuk, it says that you're supposed to have what's called lechem oini. Now the word oini, the Gemara dashens in Masechta Pesachim, is without avov. So the Gemara learns out that lechem oni, you have to have a poor man's bread. And from this we learn out an interesting thing that the Rebbe says. What do? You have to, when you say the Haggadah, and that's there's two drashas in the Gemara over there. One drash is lechem oni, has to be a poor man's bread, which the Gemara learns out is not complete. The oni has a prusa, he has a piece, he doesn't, by him not everything's complete, he's always missing something, so it shows Tzaremes that when we went out of Mitzrayim, we were like in a matzah from oni halach ma'anyo, we were poor man's bread, so you have to have a piece, it should be complete. And that's what you have, the other chelik of the drash. Oni comes from the word oinin, that you're supposed to answer, you're supposed to talk and explain why manishtana. So when we say avodah mayinu, we're answering the child who asked the question. This has to be, you have to say it together with this piece of oni. So therefore we have, this is where the source of the mocket of the din, that at the beginning of the Seder, you bring down 3 matzahs, and then you have to break the middle matzah, and you leave on your kaide a broken piece to symbolize the mitzvah from lechem oni, that you have to have a poor man's bread. And the larger piece, and the other piece you put away for the afikoima. Now this is something which is a new din. This I don't have every single year. I only have it once a year where the Rebbe said you have to read the Haggadah, and that's, we all know the chidush of that every single day there's only schiras Yetzias Mitzrayim, but there's no mitzvah of sipur Yetzias Mitzrayim. Here there's a mitzvah, you have to say it by richus, a question, answer, and dialogue, and even the children should know about it. So there's a mitzvah from Sipur Yetzias Mitzrayim. This mitzvah from Sipur Yetzias Mitzrayim has to be when there's a small broken piece of matzah on the table. So therefore the Alter Rebbe explains very simple. That's why you have to have 3 matzahs. Because I need 2 shleimois, I need 2 complete ones for the hamoitzi. And then before I start, I have to have a broken piece over here, because I have to have the special din of Pesach. I need lechem oni, I need a broken piece, a prusa, and therefore I have to bring a 3rd matzah that will facilitate that part, and therefore that's why we have, before we start even the manishtana, I have yachatz, I break the middle matzah, I put a piece on the table in my kaida, and that's why Dr. Rebbe says we know a meaning, when we say it, we open it, it's shown, and then the larger piece I put for the afikrim. Now, there's a lot of shittus about this, and we have to, I'm just going to share, it took me a long time to tell you all the kashas, but some basic questions about this. First of all, there are in Rishonim and in Halacha and Meforshim, they ask a question, what's this whole business of yachatz? Why can't I come to Chatchile? I come with 2 matzahs, okay, I need a moitzi, I need 2 shleimus. Let me come to Chatchile with another broken piece. Why do I have to have a complete matzah, and then I break it, and then I leave a piece here, and I put a piece, I hide a piece for the afikoim. Why Chatchile? And the Rambam, by the way, I'm not going to go to all the shittas now. If you look, Hitaka says that. Okay, the Rambam says you bring up a whole matzah, and then you bring another piece for the lechem money. You don't have to break it out. Meaning it's not like that. Another question the Rebbe's father brings. The Maril writes, and the Rebbe says in Shulchan Aruch, that when you break the middle matzah, it's not just that you're breaking a middle matzah, and a piece you're leaving now and a piece you're leaving later. The Maril writes you should make sure that you should have a smaller piece on your Seder plates, and the larger piece, Chelek HaGodol, you should put away for the afikoima. That's our minhag. So when you break your matzah, you look good that you take you leave a 3rd or something, kazayis, but you don't break it exactly in half, or even leave the larger piece on your Seder plate. No, there's a Rebbe says in Shulchan Aruch, there's a emphasis that you should leave dafke a chelik koton, and then the larger piece. What do? I hide it. I don't even leave it on the table. And by the end of the Seder, I reveal it, and that's when we eat the afikoim. So, question is, what's this whole message that the Rebbe wants to teach us about the yachatz and the smaller piece, a larger piece? Why can't I come? I have to break it. And there's a heat, especially as you see for the Rebbe's father, that yes, even this 3rd matzah, even though a couple of minutes in the Seder, you're going to break it. It's a mitzvah to make sure it's complete. Of course, if you have two shleimes and one is a little not 100%, the Rebbe says use that for the third, the yachatz. But the chatchile, we are makbid very much that you should come with 3 complete matzahs. I want to tell you a personal story about the Rebbe with me. This happened in Tovshin Lamed Zeh. I'm telling you a personal thing that happened with me. This was very shortly after my bar mitzvah, 2 years, a year and a half after my bar mitzvah. And I was standing in line to get matzah from the Rebbe. And as soon as I came to the Rebbe's door, I was next to the Rebbe's give me matzah. Also, the Rebbe looked and he saw that the elevator is opening. And the Rebbe waited a second and he saw that Rabbi Yunik was taking down, holding the Rashag, and he was coming to the Rebbe to get matzah. I'll tell you what I saw. The Rebbe stopped. He opened up the whole thing took approximately maybe 2 minutes. I was standing by the door. It was unbelievable. I saw the Rebbe in action, slowly, as if there's no rush. He took a new pound of a bag, a pound of matzah. He opened it up slowly, the string, and then he looked for 3 beautiful matzahs. 3. The Rashag was the only one who got from the Rebbe 3 matzahs. Even Rabbi Chodakov, whoever was the maskirim, they got 1 matzah each night. The only one in Lubavitch who got 3 matzahs was the Rashag. And I saw the Rebbe pick up a matzah. He looked. He made sure it's complete. He put it on the side. He went to the next matzah. I remember when it was, but he wasn't happy with one. He put it on the side. And then it was so beautiful. He took all 3 matzahs. It was Ave, the Rebbe Tamon gewünschen. And it was an unbelievable machzeh that one of the things that I was zoich in my life. I could tell you, at least 2 minutes, I was standing there and slowly until he gave him this matzah. Anyway, so the point I want to bring out is that we are makbid that not only the top matzah, the koyin and the Yisrael should be complete, we're very much makbid that even this middle matzah shouldn't even have a speck, should be completely whole. And you soon see why. Even though in a few minutes down the road, and then they say that we're going to break it, we're going to back miyachatz. What's the point of the shleimus over here? The hamoitze, I understand. Now, before I go to the beautiful beer from the Rebbe's father, I'm going to tell you an unbelievable kasha that Rabbi Yonason Eibschitz asks. And the Rebbe's father will answer his kasha very, very simply. But al tzagdome, what we do is like this. If you really look, and this is what the Rebbe's father is going to explain, what you do with this middle matzah. We do 4 things, 4 protim, 4 details with this matzah. Number 1, we bring it lechatchila in the beginning of the Seder to be complete. Number 2, then I'm going to break it. I'm going to do yachatz. Then I do what the Mariel says. I'm makbid that I should break it in such a way, the chelek hakoton, the smaller piece, I leave on my kaira. The larger piece, I'm going to hide, sofoy, and that means afikoyim, take out what was hidden. And only by the end of the Seder, that's the 4th detail, by the end of the Seder, after everything, the last thing, we eat it ala soiva, we eat the afikoyim, as we'll soon explain. At the end of the meal, the last thing, I don't eat anything afterwards. We don't eat anything after the afikoyim. So why every detail you'll soon see has a reason. Why I have to have a whole one, then I break it, and when I break it, the Maril is Machadish. I have a smaller piece on the Seder. That's what I read my Haggadah. That's the Chatchil that I have a whole time with me. That stays with me a whole time. It never leaves the Seder plate. The larger piece of matzah I hide, and then step 4, I will reveal it only by the end. And another small detail, only not the older people by the table, the children don't know where it is. The father knows where it is. And the guests, of course, don't know where it is. But it's known to only to a few, only to the heads of the table, so to say. And then I bring it out for everyone when everyone gets a piece at the end of the Seder. So here, Rabbi Yonason Eibschitz, in his Haggadah, he asks a very interesting question. He said like this. There's a Yerushalmi. The Yerushalmi asks, what's the reason, Take, why we have the Afikoymet at the end? Now, so we know the simple reason is because in the times of the Beis Hamikdash, this piece of Afikoyman reminds us, symbolizes that there was something that was eaten at the end of the Seder, which was the Korban Pesach. And since today we don't have it, so we want to make a zeicher, because we want to tell our children, you should always know, this is not the whole, we're not complete over here, and soon the Beis Hamikdash will be built. So we try to make constantly a zeicher le Beis Hamikdash. So we make a special large piece of matzah, but at the end of the Seder, we give everyone, this is the last thing you're going to eat, make a big tumult about it. This is the Afikoymon, and this is a zeicher le Korban Pesach, and we hope, L'Shana Haba B'Yerushalayim, next year we'll have Ala Zvachim, Ala Psochim, we'll have the Korban Pesach. So in the times of the Beis Hamikdash, the Korban Pesach was eaten the last thing. Now, by the way, I would tell you, here in Princeton, we have to explain everything. I'll share with you whenever I talk about it to my balabatim, I tell them, if you just picture it, this little sheep wasn't so big. It couldn't be more than a year old. And when you slaughter it and you take off the skin, then you cut the stomach open, you take out all the intestines, and that was burnt on the mizbeach. And so you're left with not a big piece of meat. It's not 50 pounds. It could be a small little roast. And then when you're going to put it on the fire and it roasts, by nature, it shrinks. So you're not talking about where it was a huge, big slab, a piece of meat that you had to worry about. So, of course, one family couldn't eat it, and you had to make sure there's a cedar when at boike. You had to make sure that it was eaten up before chatzos. Yeah, so you figured out that they made everyone should get a kazayas. So the Rishalmi asks, what was Taka the Tam? One of the reasons why it's such an important thing, 4 days before Pesach they had to prepare it, and then there was such a commotion from Chatzos, and after they started to bring you had to bring the Korban Pesach. So why did we eat it only by the end? It deserves a mokem chashuva on the Seder. We should have it right in the beginning. So the Rishalmi answers, and Toisvis in Psochim Daf Ayin brings us down, that one of the reasons he said, because one of the things, like Rebbe says in the Sikha, the Chinuch writes, the Chinuch, by the way, is a beautiful sefer. We don't know too much about him, but he was called Rabbi Aaron Alevi. And what he did was, he had a son who was becoming bar mitzvah, and he made a resolution with his son. He says, son, I'm going to teach you all the Tayag mitzvahs HaTorah. And he wrote for him, he did research, and he writes for him a synopsis of what each mitzvah is. But there's a lot of beautiful things when he spoke to a child that Meforshim learn out. And the Rebbe brings down the Sichas. One of the examples is that he says that one of the things by Korban Pesach is that Hashem says, Ve'etzem loy sishburu boy. You should not crack the bones, break the bones to eat the marrow, to eat the march. And the Chinuch writes, it's not a sign of royalty. Hey, you talk about Tzis Mitzrayim, David took us out, you're supposed to feel freedom. And when you come to the Suda, and when you're eating already, you made already Goal Yisrael, you spoke about Tzis Mitzrayim. So don't, nickel and dime the Eibishter, so to say. Don't eat even though you have to break the bones and eat every little drop that's inside the marrow. It's not a sign of kavod. It's not a sign of oisher, of richness, of royalty. And therefore the Chinuch writes that the Eibishter said that tonight, don't break the bones of Etzem L'Sish Buruboy. So the Yerushalmi says a practical thing. He says, the Eibishter knows the teva of people. And if they're going to eat the Korban Pesach in the beginning of the Seder, they may be hungry, and even without knowing, you're going to come to eat it. And, you're used to eating a whole year. You like to suck the meat, the bones, a good piece of steak. So it's very easy. You may slip in and make the mistake. And therefore, the Torah understood people. He said, you know what? Eat this by the end. Nechel ala soiva. You eat it after you're full. As we all know, when we come to Dafikoyman, all of us take a big, we hope that we can eat Dafikoyman Bizdafchazai, the two kazeisim. We have to eat a full meal. So the same thing with Tabis Hamikdash. So you were lucky if every Yid had a kazayis, two kazeisim, so then he won't run after it and won't eat it with an appetite, even with a lust and desire too much, and then he'll come to break the bone. So therefore the Rishalmi says That's one of the reasons why HaKadosh Baruch Hu Yoreh L'Sevdaita Shel Adam, he knows nature of people, and even with all people, all types. He didn't want, he says, let them, by nature, he wanted that they should only be suffice with the kazayas of the achila, and that's why we do it by the end. So now comes Rabbi Yosef Neibschitz, and he asks a very strong question. He said like this: comes out from the Yerushalmi that in real truth, we should have eaten this korban pesach right in the beginning. But since there's also a law of etzem l'sizbur boy, because of that love, I got to push it to the end. But lo yitzu, there won't be that love. Then of course, I would make just like I make a big tool about motor and about matzah. I would right away make a big tool about korban pesach. So the Princeton asks, now that there's a churban, there's no Beis Hamikdash, we don't really have a korban pesach. We're only making a zeicha to the korban pesach, right? And we want to teach the children. There was so why don't we do it right in the beginning? We should make a big tumult. Tell all the kids, the time is some Mikdash reading a special piece of matzah. That's a zeichel come Pesach. There's no problem today from the etzem l'sishbur where matzah has no bones in it, and we should make a big tumult. We only in times of Beis we have no choice. But now, why don't we make a big tumult? Weißt du, it's from the Rishalmi that you should do in the Chatchila. That without this reason, yes, it really belongs in the beginning. Whatever. And yes, Nafsha has his own tenets, but you're soon going to see how the Rebbe's father is going to explain a moired de kebir on all the four details I said before on this matzah, the matzah hemtsoyis, the middle matzah, the Levi, and according to his biur, everything will be understood. And just to go again, in short, we do four things. Has to be complete, this matzah, then we break it, then you do like the Maril says, a smaller piece, a larger piece, I hide a larger piece, and then by the end of the Seder, I reveal it, and everyone has to have it. Not only the father, not only the heads of but every single one sitting by the Seder is a mitzvah, they should have a piece of this African. So the Rebbe's father explains beautifully like this. But we mentioned before that if somebody will ask you, what is the chidush? What's the chidush? What's the greatness? Which matzah is the most important part of our three matzahs? The answer will be the middle matzah. The top one, the bottom one, I do that every year. It's not something that's an exception on Pesach. Every time I have lechem mishnah, every Friday night, every Shabbos, every Yom Tov. Whether you eat matzah, be it chalas, irrelevant. You have to have two matzahs. You have to have two breads. Lechem mishnah. The chiddush of Pesach is the middle matzah. Why the middle matzah? Here, if you think about it, you are doing the most important part for the Seder. I'm eating achilas matzah, which is the mitzvah from be'erev techlo matzah, you are makayim with that small piece. And then there's a mitzvah for korban Pesach for the afikoyim, which is taken from the middle matzah. So the Rebbe's father explains so beautifully, he said like this. When the Eibishter came to Moshe Rabbeinu, and where did he first appear to him? It was by the sneh. He saw the burning bush. And I always emphasize this to my balabatim, because I want to tell them this was a very important thing the Rebbe speaks about in the Sichos. This mountain that Eibishter revealed to Moshe Rabbeinu, everything has a kavanah, was Har Sinai. And the Eibishter set out at that moment. He told him, I plan in one sentence. And he told him, this mountain that you see right over here, this burning bush, I'm going to take the Yidden out of Mitzrayim, and they're going to come into the Midbar, and on this mountain, I'm going to reveal to them 7 weeks later, it's going to be Matan Torah. And that's why Pesach, which is the first part of the pasuk, happened Pesach. And the latter part of the pasuk, is not, by us, it's one thing. And that's why there's so many connections between Pesach and Shavuos. And that's one of the timing, as it says in Meforshim, the Rebbe brings in the Sichos, that right from Pesach we start counting the Omer. We right away look forward when we're going to get to Torah, because it's one hemshech. It's not two separate things. And that's why so many things that we do by the Seder incorporates in it the idea of that this is hachone to Matan Torah. They just take us out to be free people and to roam around the world. They gave us a mandate. They gave us a manual. They gave us a Torah to live our life. Torah's chai. And by Pesach, we got what's called emunah. We got faith in Hashem. That's what we eat the matzah. But when did we get v'yedates Hashem? Like it says in the pasuk, the Rebbe's father brings down. It says in Hosea, "V'arasticha li be'emunah." I betrothed you with faith. That happened on Pesach. V'yedates Hashem. That the pasuk continues. Das knowledge. That happened on Shavuos. So the tachas hakavona from Yitzis Mitzrayim is to reach the Shavuos. Now here the Rebbe's father says, explains a beautiful thing. If you look by the kabbonos of Shavuos, you will see an interesting thing. No other time of the year do you have such a mitzvah. You have to bring kabbonos, you have to bring shnei kvosim, but together with shnei kvosim, you have to bring shtei halechem, 2 breads. The Rebbe's father's machadish, the 2 pieces of matzah that I'm going to make from my middle matzah, I'm breaking it in half, a chele kot and chele godel, and I have 2 pieces. They correspond to the shtei halechem that I'm going to eat also on Shavuos. 2 and 2, it's one correlation, one connection. And the Rebbe's father explains like this, what the Maril writes. Everything we understood with the Beferish Gemara, this Gemara is brought under all our Rebbe, many Mamorim from the Rebbe. The Gemara says in Daf Chav Ches in Sukkah, the Gemara says that Hillel HaZoken had Shmoinim Talmidim. He had 80 Talmidim, the greatest of the greatest in his times. And the Gemara says who they were. And then the Gemara says even the smallest Talmud, means the lowest, what? He knew Sichas Chulin, he knew the chirps of birds, he knew the languages of animals. And then the Gemara says all of them knew Dovar Koton, listen to the words, Dovar Koton, the smaller thing, and Dovar Godel, the larger thing. So the Gemara asks, what's this Koton, what's this Godel, what are you referring to? And the Gemara answers very simple. Dovar Koton means Haviyos Tabai Verover, which means what we know called Nigla the Torah. All the questions and answers, like Rashi says over there in the Gemara, knowing the Mishnah, knowing the Gemara, knowing Shakavatariya, that is Nigla the Torah. Person learning Gemara and Alocha and the Pilpul, that's Haviyos Tabai Verover. All the questions of Tabai Verover, Yishlim Midas, Tabai Verover, everyone knows. So that's everyone was bucky in that, in the Chelak HaNigla. What's Dovar Godol, the Gemara says, is Maaseh Mekover, which means referring to the Pnimi Satoira, like Rashi says over there, and Meforshim explain, that they also learned, they knew the Pnimi Satoira, they knew Chassidus. Now the Gemara says in Chagiga that Maaseh Mekover, which is the secrets of Hashem, which the Zohar writes, V'chulu, Kabbalah, and later on, as we'll soon explain, was spoken in Chassidus. That is the larger piece, what the Eibishter gave the Yidden. And therefore, the Rebbe's father says so beautiful like this. He explains. Now, the reason, by the way, we call it Dovar Koton, Dovar Godel, even though Nigla Torah Halacha is not a small thing, it means like this: that when you learn just Gemara just tells you how to act and how to behave. It's called the mechanism of Judaism. You know, what do I do? How do I make kiddush? How do I eat matzah? And this and that. But it doesn't really tell you the real time ha-mitzvahs. Why did Rebbe bring me down to the world? What does he want? What's the kavanah of Torah? What happened before Hashem gave the Torah? What happened? What's the ultimate goal of Torah? All these serious questions that every normal person could have. The reasoning, what does matzah do with Pesach? What's Yitzis Mitzrayim all about? That I only get when I learn Chassidus. I can't. Gemara will not explain you that. So the richness, that's the point. If you really want to have the mitzvahs and a real understanding, and you'll be able to have a strong feeling for it, and a great understanding of what's behind the mitzvah, all the details of it. Oh, you want to eat the matzah like a poor man? You'll suffice only with just being, I wouldn't say the word robot, but you'll just be kind of mitzvahs from Nigla. But if you really wanted to get into the depth of why Hashem gave mitzvahs, go to the larger piece, and then it'll be much richer. That's what it means, Godel. It'll be mitachayes. You'll really get into it with your full involvements. Which means, in another sense, as it says, if you really want to put your neshama into it, full of zest and full of chayes, that you can only get from Chassidus. So that's what the Gemara says. In comparison, we call it a smaller part. Now, we all know, the Rebbe's father explains, when the Eibishter came down by Matan Torah, the Eibishter told Yidden, you know, I'm not coming down again. I'm giving you everything now. My chemde genuza, my secrets that I had, my treasures that I had all my years, I decided I'm giving it to my chosen nation, B'nai Avraham, Yitzchak, Yankov. I'm not holding anything back. I'm giving it to you as a matana here. You got it. No, it's not there. The Eibishter gave it. However, the Eibishter said, you know, Yidden, they just came out of Mitzrayim, Avodah Me'inu. They will have to receive, here's the key word, they will receive the Torah in portions. David said, I'm not holding it for you. It's just like a father who tells his son, you know, now you see this big gift, it's all yours, but now I'm giving you this part, and I'm going to give you, 10 years, 20 years, I'm giving you a larger part. David just had told the Yidden the same thing. I'm giving everything. I'm not holding anything back. But the way, so mitzad the noise saying that Torah, the Eibishter gave Torah achas, nigle Torah, and pnimis Torah is one Torah. You cannot have one without the other. If someone learns only nigle the Torah, someone learns only nigle Torah, doesn't have pnimis Torah, you do the mitzvahs again, but you're not really. There's so much more that you could appreciate, and you can have you could do the mitzvahs much more richer and much more fulfilling and much more meaning, and that you get only from pnimis Torah. Chas v'sholom, someone has pnimis Torah. He learns, he loves to learn chassidus, but he doesn't keep the mitzvahs b'poel. It's nothing worth. It's all connected. So now you understand what the Maril writes. The Rebbe's father explains so beautiful. This middle matzah, which is called what? Levi. This is the Chidush of Pesach. Levi, I want to emphasize over here the Shevet Levi. Moshe Rabbeinu came from Shevet Levi. And the Rebbe's father explains all the other Shvatim, you know who named them? The Mois or the Oves, Levi, the Eibishter said, Al-Kain Kodesh Shmoy Levi, the Eibishter called him Levi. And the Medrash says, because this tribe is special to me. From them will come out Koyanim, and especially Moshe Rabbeinu, who gave them the Torah, Zichru, Torah, Moshe Avdi, it's called upon Moshe Rabbeinu. This nation, this tribe, Levi, this is very special to Hashem. Mekudesh Hashem. So this matzah, this middle matzah, which is the chidush of Pesach, because the top and the bottom I need anyways every Shabbos and every Yom Tov, so it's no big deal about, it's nothing new or nothing special about Pesach that I'm doing it. But my new chidush of matzah, what I have is my Levi, and the pasuk says in the beginning, Vayikach ish, mi beis Levi, Vayikach has bas Levi, the whole time emphasizing Levi. It doesn't say Amram, it doesn't say Yechevet, we're emphasizing Vehe Levi. And this is, the Rebbe's father says, this is the middle matzah that I'm emphasizing. The kesher between what the Eibishter told Moshe Rabbeinu the first moment that he saw him. I'm going to give you the Torah, Tavnus. So this middle matzah that we use by the Seder plate symbolizes the giving of the Torah. And the Torah is called our lechem, our bread. And everything we're going to do, these four details, is exactly a remez on how the process of the revelation from Sinai, from Torah happened to the Yidden. Exactly all these four steps that we do with the matzah is exactly the Rebbe's father explains what happened to the Yidden with Torah. And that's why, number one, the Eibishter says, the Maril writes, that Rebbe says, Shulchan Aruch, make sure your matzah is complete. Because you want a hint over here, these two parts of Torah is one Torah achas. It's not two separate parts. You can't separate it. It's one shleimus. And that's why big Yidden, especially the Rebbe always used to bring out, when you learn Rashi, you learn Gemara, it has a pirush up in Pnimis HaTorah. It's not two separate Torahs, it's one Torah. And Adarabah, the Pnimis HaTorah get a chayis into the practical part of the observance. Then what do? Hashem told, so David says, from the noise in that Torah, I gave one gigantic, complete, a shleimus, a complete matzah. I gave everything to you. I didn't keep anything in Shemayim. You have everything. But the way you're going to receive it, the way it's going to come to you, It's going to come in steps. You're not ready for it to understand everything right away. You can't run before you crawl, before you fall and you walk. So therefore, the Eibusher says, this is exactly what you do. Take this matzah now. The chatchila symbolize, I gave everything, put on your Seder plate, the beginning of the Seder, you make Kiddush. Pesach, a complete matzah, symbolizing to the Torah that's Torah achas. Then you're going to break it, you can do yachatz. The Benil comes as machadish. You are going to break this matzah, chelik koton, chelik godel. Symbolizing to what the Gemara says in Sukkah, there's dover koton and dover godel. There's a smaller part, and that goes on the revealed part of the Torah, which is Mishnah and Gemara and Nevi'im, and even the all the Shals of Tshuvas, everything that's involved in Parshat Halacha. And that you got right away. I never took that away from you. You have it right away. You brought the matzah to the table. You're breaking it off. That piece is with you, and it's revealed. It's not hidden. When we say that God, that Rebbe writes our minig, now you understand why the minig is. That we open this up because we want to answer, we want to have this piece to show that this is part of us. We got it right away. And all through the generations. We all know, Pnimis HaTorah. Moshe Rabbeinu hid it. That Rizal came, Rav Shimon ben Yochai, who knew about it, he wrote down the Zohar. It was hidden for over 1,000 years. So the heads, the Rosh Bnei Yisrael, like the Gemara says in Sukkah, knew about it. Al Derech, like the father of who puts away the Afikoima, he knows about it. The Hamoinam, the regular congregation, the regular Shvotim, or the guests by the Tzeder, the Am Yisrael didn't know about it, the regular people. They saw on the table the smaller piece, which is symbolizing they have Nigla the Torah. And then, by the end of the Seder, symbolizing at the end of the Golus, came the Arizal. And the Arizal said, now we're coming to the end of the Seder. And it's time to be Megale to bring out that larger piece. And the Arizal was Machadash, as the Rebbe says in so many siches, that no more is this applies the din of Maisa Makova Ein Deutschen, like the Gemara says in Chagiga, in Perek Beis. And then Allah has come, then came the Baal Shem Tov, and then came the Alter Rebbe. And of course, through more generations, more Chassidus was revealed, more and more. And everyone has to learn it, because everyone has a piece of this Afikoima. This is the Chelik Godel. It's not just for the Balabayas of the table. No, it's everyone. And that's what answers the question of Jens Neibshitz. We dafke nowadays eat this piece because it symbolizes, besides the Korban Pesach, it also symbolizes something deeper. In Torah Gufa, that we have these two pieces of matzahs. Cotton and Godel, Nigla Torah and Pnimis HaTorah. The Pnimis HaTorah was not revealed in the beginning of the Seder, in the beginning of time. It was only revealed at the end of the Golus. The Golus had to sit a couple 1,000 years from Matan Torah. From the Arizal's times, from Friday morning, as we know. And then the Baal Shem Tov, and then all the Rabbeim. Chassidus was revealed. And that's why we only bring it out by the end of the Seder. To symbolize that this is focuses and symbolizes and is a remes on the Gilui of Pnimis HaTorah. And now we understand the Rebbe's father says why the Chidush of the Pesach, the middle matzah, I have 4 parts. You got to bring it complete to show it's one Torah, it's not 2 separate parts. Then you're going to show how you got it. You got it? First you can have the Chelik HaKotten, then you have Chelik HaGodel, that's the Meril's Machadish. And you hide it, just like Pnimis HaTorah, Chassidus was hidden, wasn't revealed. And only a few knew about it. It wasn't for the Amayna. Then came the time at the end of the Seder. And the Rebbe's father doesn't say this, but unfortunately, we went through some murder too. We went through some bitter times. And at the end of the Seder, time of the revelation of Chassidus, of Pnimis HaTorah, that's the Chelik HaGodel. I just want to conclude when I learned it. I just want to share with you, just a thought. When I saw this, I said, perhaps according to the Rebbe's father, we could explain our minig. Our minig is, the Rebbe, it's weißt from the way the Rebbe said in the Sikha, that it wasn't always like that, even in Lubavitch, but for sure the Rebbe made that when do we pour the Kosh Shel Eliyahu is not before Shvei Chamoscha, but we do it right before benching. The Rebbe doesn't give a reason over there. According to the Rebbe's father's biur, maybe we could answer very simple, that since the larger piece, Daf Koyman, goes on the Gila Pnimis HaTorah, and the Mashiach promised the Baal Shem Tov. He asked him, and he told him, so once everyone at the table eats already Daf Koyman, which symbolizes everyone tasting and eats and absorbs and nourishes himself with Pnimis HaTorah, so then Hashem has to fulfill his part, so then we can have already the Mavasa Geula. So why should we push off till Yon of his cost left the benching when we already fulfilled the Gilei Achsidus already and everyone ate? So Ula Yashleim, according to Rebbe's father, this minig has a beautiful biur. So I'm going to tell you, every time I shared this biur with my balabatim, they love it so much. Whoever I told it to, it's a mind-boggling biur. There's nobody who explains, and I'm not going to go into it now. There's a lot of kashis and aloche. You should know it. It's why, and this also answers what I said before. The detail. Every single one has to eat from Daf Koyman because Chassidus is the gate to women, it's the gate to children, it's the gate to bocherim, it's the gate to adults. Everyone has to have avos Hashem and yiras Hashem, and the only way to truly get a true amunah and true feeling for the Eibishter with avos Hashem and yiras Hashem is only through Pnimis HaTorah. With Nigla Torah, you won't get it. So befrat nowadays. So I just want to conclude with Al-Chaim. This is this chelik is the end of a letter that the Rebbe's father sent to the Rebbe. I don't remember which year it was. It was sometime in the 30s. And the last part, he has a whole ariches about the matzah and everything. But the end of the letter, he explains him this beautiful thing. And this he concludes, and this is the reason why Shavuos is the only Yom Tov of the year. No other Yom Tov that we have two chalas. And everyone, all Mefarshim try to find what's the reason of two chalas. And the Rebbe's father's mechadesh. He says, this corresponds to this two chalokim of the matzah hamtzoyis, this Levi, this Moshe, connecting Shavuos with Pesach with Shavuos. So we should all have a true bracha. The Rebbe's father says, when you eat this matzah, this gives you a koyach. Don't start a joke. This is what the Rebbe's father writes. That when you eat a smaller piece, everyone for sure ate it, achilas matzah. You're Makayim. This gives you the koyach to understand and connect to the Eibush through Pashut Nigla, the Torah, Pashut Aloche, and Gemara and everything. And when you eat Daf Koyman, this is the schus that you bond yourself with the Eibush, that we also have the Gilui from Pnimis HaTorah, that we also learn the Rebbe's Mamorim and the Rebbe's Chassidus. L'chaim, l'chaim, l'chaim.
L'chaim. L'chaim l'vrocha.
If there's any questions, I hope it was understood.
I don't know who's muted, who's on, who's not muted. Thank you very much, Rabbi Dubov. I think we're going to be playing a niggin.
Yeah, I see someone's putting on. You should sing Rabbi Levi, the Rebbe's father's niggin.
Als mir sagen sich Balabatim, nicht Rabonim, ich mache den Menschen rasch. Ay, 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 Delen, Farakis Horin, Bechula, Bechula. Als mir sagen sich Balabatim, nicht Rabonim, ich mache den Menschen rasch. Ay, 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 ze is Tzadikim, dem im Lebera, Malachas kamen v'kamen Rabbonim, dann sie sich nee, was steht mit la Kehl, Momo Dako, und bei sie ist das Arash Godel, Guru.
Yeah, Rebbe the Fall.
Yeah, am I able
Yeah, okay.
to?
No, some
Am I
people
on?
ask me some questions. Some people ask me some questions. I'll answer them.
Thank you.
The letter was sent to the Rebbe. Yudalet Nissan Tofresh Sadik Aleph. The letter starts Taf Reish Chov Hey in Igris of the Kutel of Yitzchok, and the main part that I shared with you was the end part from Daf Reish Lamed and on till Kemat end. Someone asked me, this is the mock of the letter. Someone asked me, what's the connection between the big matzah and the Korban Pesach? So the Rebbe's father explains over there that the ufto from Korban Pesach was that it was nechel ala soiva, which means that you when I eat the smaller part, I eat it metoich rov. I'm hungry. But when you learn Chassidus, the Rebbe's father explains, which goes on this is similar to the Korban Pesach, where it truly satisfies you. And when you do a mitzvah, if you only have the smaller part, lav dafka will your whole heart and mind and neshama be into it, your chayas. But when you makayim mitzvahs through the fervor and your chassidus has permeated you and hasn't had an effect on you, and it's mo'oided, like that Rebbe says in Tanya, Avis Hashem, Yiras Hashem, then you do the mitzvah with tremendous zest and chayas, and that's called ala soiva, when you do it with great riches and great royalty. And so he connects the Korban Pesach that we used to eat with that it should be eaten ala soiva, but he doesn't go into so much he just says this point, that just like the Korban Pesach was eaten ala soiva, Chassidus also truly brings a person the chalta v'savota, that you may be still hungry, but when you have pnimis HaTorah, that's when you truly can get into it with a true svius, with a true tremendous, every part of you, your ramachivorim shesagida v'chul. He just says it bekitzer. I'm just telling you, if you look it up over there, you'll see. But this is the klolos, a connection of Korban Pesach. But the Rebbe's father, that's the whole word. He's machadish, that the two parts of the smatz, this is his own chidush, that it refers to the two halakim of Torah. It's not going on, the two parts of the matzah is lechem goes on Torah, and it goes on nigla Torah ptimis Torah. That's connects to Shavuos, to Shtei Lechem. This is the Rebbe's father's whole chiddush, and then we understand why the whole, with this beer from the Rebbe's father, honestly, you could truly appreciate and understand Gans Yachatz. Why do we do it? Sounds like, so someone who, again, this is a typical example. Someone who just wants to follow that Rebbe Shulchan Aruch, he just tells them what to do. Do this, break it, eat it, put this away, eat it by the end. But why? What? When you learn Pnimis HaTorah, you learn. So these are the revelations of such Gedolei Olam, the Rebbe's father. Now that I understand this biur, wow, then I get a true appreciation. And when I do it with a feeling. I understand every detail. It's not a joke what the Maril writes, so that Rebbe is Shulchan Aruch. There's a time. This is a typical example. When you learn Pnimis HaTorah, you get the time mitzvahs. What's the reason? Why? So, and this is an example by Kol HaTorah Kula, that when you learn the gift that the Eibishter gave us, that we have Pnimis HaTorah, this gives us, like I said earlier, the Rebbe's father's beautiful word, that you should be Mekayim mitzvahs in a true way, the theme of this month of a Chodesh Zelechem. So again, I just want to wish again, like we started off earlier, with a true, the depth of my heart, even though it's a birchas hedyet, We're all small people, but together, let's storm the heavens and ask a bracha for the Eibush to please have rachmanas on your children. And you should give a richasyon mishon tevis to everybody. And my wife's grandmother used to have a little word. She used to say, you remember her, Chava Garari? She used to say, I'm going to, by the way, say an interesting story in just a moment. That she used to say, by her and the mishpacha, vek me geb ma bracha when someone was sick. Ze soll weggehen, also gich wie sie gekommen. L'chaim, l'chaim, l'chaim.
Chaim. Rabbi Dubov, there's some more questions on the chat. Do you have access to the chat? You want me to ask the questions?
Yeah. So before I go, I'll show you the interesting story. Yeah, I'm going to answer you. My wife's grandfather told me, Reb Zalman Garari told me that something to do with today's Rambam, just an interesting thing. So he was a Yid, he knew the Rebbe even before the Nesius. And he had spent with the Rebbe hundreds of hours in Yechidus. So he told me that twice in all the times he went to Yechidus, in the middle of the Yechidus, the Rebbe was talking to him. The Rebbe got up from his seat, middle of Yechidus, went to the shelf, and took out a Rambam. Didn't take out a Tur, Cheshem Mishpat, Beis Yosef, Shulchan Aruch. He took out a Rambam, and they were discussing then two different topics. One, I'll tell you a story that I heard. That's really how I got the story out of him, because I told him I heard something about you. I went to him one day, and I said, "Is it true? Do you know about it?" So the Rebbe Futterfass from Crown Heights, her Mendel's son, maybe you have a for Shalema or whatever, you have a Nichashom Shom Tevis. So he told me an interesting story. He told me that he went to Mekashlichas in 1961, 62, in the early 60s. And one of the places that they went to Winnipeg, to Canada, that area. I don't know if exactly in Winnipeg, but in that vicinity. And they put in a little ad in the newspaper that two rabbis came for a few days, and anyone who would need something, we're here to service you, whatever you would like, and we're staying at this hotel. This is the number. If anyone needs any help, we're here to do whatever we could for you. And they're in the hotel. All of a sudden, they get a call. A woman says, I read your ad in the newspaper. I would like you to come over to my house. She gave the address, and they were so happy. Oh, Baruch Hashem, the first Jew we found in town. They came to the house. They couldn't believe it. All over is full of tzlomim, crosses all over. It's a real Christian home. So they were surprised why she called them. So she said, I'll tell you something. He says, when I saw the ad, it reminded me something. He said, my son was in the Second World War, and he was fighting the Nazis in the time of the Second World War, and he was in Warsaw. And he's long gone. I mean, he's living, but he's out of the house. He got married. And when he was there, he found a book. And it's handwritten book. And it's Jewish. My son left it here. It's in the drawer over here when he came back, 1945. And I have no use for it. Would you like to have it? They said, well, sure, we'd like to see it. And they opened up, they couldn't believe it. It was a bichel from Chassidus. A whole sefer from a memory of my morim, handwritten. They were so happy, they'll bring it back to the Rebbe. It happened to be that they looked in the beginning, and there was someone's name over there. The guy's name was Zalman Garari. It was his bichel Chassidus. They came back to Crown Heights. They came those days. When he came back, you had the opportunity to even go into the Rebbe to give a report, a general report. So when they came in, right away, they told the Rebbe the story. And Rabbi Futterfass told me the Rebbe's face pushed it like Tzov upon him. He became so like, they saw such a simcha. And right away, the Rebbe started to flap the pages back and forth, and he was looking at the Dibur HaMaschil from the beginning of each Maimer. And the Rebbe was like talking to himself. Oh, das ist mein von Tzemach Tzedek, das ist für Reb Marash, das ist gedruckt, das ist nicht gedruckt. He was like, few minutes he was going through. Then the Rebbe turned to the beginning, to the first page, And for a second, the Rebbe said, it said over their name, it belongs to Schneerson Gerari, his temple. The Rebbe closed it, and the Rebbe said these words, she shot if nor, which means anyone who learned the Rambam today knows that if there's a major catastrophe in the world, there's a tsunami or there's a war, and people are running just to save their lives. So the Rambam says, guaranteed that whatever he left over, he was meyayish, because he's just as interested in saving his life, and he's not interested in this or that. So ad kedei kach, the Rebbe, this is the words the Rebbe said in Yechidus. So the Rebbe said that, so shot of nor, you see the ave that the Rebbe had to Abichel Chassidus. So I told Rabbi Gerari, I was sitting with him once, I told him, I heard the story about you, is it true? So he says, yes. He says, you should know, I'll tell you the other half. He says, I went into the Rebbe, and I didn't demand the sefer, chas v'sholom, but it came up in the conversation, the Rebbe brought it up, that, so you could come in the Bochrim from Mekish Lichas, and on his own, the Rebbe continued. Afila, du wirst mir das betten, gehe ich dir das nicht geben. The Rebbe told him openly. And then the Rebbe got up from his seat, and he opened up today's Rambam Shir. Right away, the Rebbe flipped the pages. Esther, the Rebbe showed him. Short of note, look at the Rambam, Klor. You are Mayayish. I'm not this safer, I'm taking. So this is one of the times he said, in Yechidus, the Rebbe got up. And then the other time was also today's Shir, but I think it was Hilchas Geneva. It wasn't Hilchas Gezela, but the same Teuchen. That he spoke to the Rebbe, that he wants to, there's dealers, people who used to steal Svarim, even before it came to New York, the people stole the Svarim from Russia, and from Europe, and from Poland, and they got Bichel Chassidus. They used to sell it on the market. And he once spoke to the Rebbe about that he's willing to invest in it and to buy back the Svarim for Lubavitch. So the Rebbe right away told him that you have to be very careful about this, because the Rambam paskins that you're not allowed to encourage a ganef to steal. If you're going to pay him what he wants, you're only going to whet his appetite to do it more. And right away he said the Rebbe got up and went to the Shafer, and he opened up Hilchas Geneva, and the Rebbe told Esther, the Rambam paskin, right? And the Rebbe was reading to him the halacha. So these, he just told me these are the two times in this history, middle of Yechidus. The Rebbe got up from his chair, and he went to the shelf, and right away he took out the Rambam. So this is the story I wanted to share with you. Yeah, in honor of today's Rambam. So what are the questions? If I know the answer, I'll be glad to answer.
Okay, what is the kesher of Pnimi Sater with the Karm Pesach?
So I said before, the Rebbe's father doesn't talk about it bariches, but he just said that Korban Pesach was eaten a la soiva. That gave you, that saturated you, that gave you the completeness of your meal. The same thing is also the nigla, that's your lechem, so to say, that's your basic meal, right? But to give the chayis and the whole, to make it full, that is Pnimi Sater.
Okay, somebody commented, now we understand better. Now we understand better why we answer the Chacham with the Afikaiman. That's a statement.
Okay.
Question. Why
I'm sure there's many more things you can add to this. Yeah.
Why does the middle matzah symbolize Torah, I guess, as opposed to the other ones?
No, that's what I said before, because the middle matzah is the Levi, and the Shevet Levi was special. The Eibishter gave him the name, and from the Torah's Madik's Moshe Rabbeinu is the Eibishter emphasizes that he's the Levi. And by the way, this is another prat I should have said earlier, that if you see when Moshe Rabbeinu was born, yeah, you had also these right away, these two parts. What happened by Moshe Rabbeinu was born? But today they saw him, and then Vatitzpeneu, they hit him. You see right away, this Levi, yeah, another detail.
Yeah.
That he says, you see how it fits also, that the way Moshe Rabbeinu was born, which goes on Torah, Tavnas Klim Harazeh, but him also was right away, by his birth, you had these two parts. There was a time, so to say, when they saw him at Tereu, and right away, but this Peneu, there was a part of his life when they had to hide him, symbolizing to the two Giluyim, which Moshe Rabbeinu will bring, Zichru Teres Moshe Avdi, the Chelik HaNigle, which is Vatereyu, the Chelik HaTzofoin, Vatitzpenei, the same Shoidish, which goes on Pnimis HaTorah.
Okay.
Rabbi,
We had a
finally,
request. Yeah.
my voice is on.
Yes.
I'll just say l'chaim. Thank everyone for being mishtatif. I want to thank Rabbi Dubov for leading such a beautiful Farbrengen in honor of Chai Nissan. And we should be zoiche migula leguule, and that everyone who needs a refuah will certainly have a refuah shalema or kroiva. Schus v'chsidish Farbrengen could accomplish more than Malach Mechol could accomplish. So hopefully we'll continue to Farbreng, and we'll continue to go from this Farbrengen to the next Farbrengen. But most important, we should be zoiche to go to Eretz Yisrael, to Yerushalayim, to the Beis Hamikdash HaShlishi, with Mashiach Tzidkeinu, take him miyad mamash. L'chaim.
Chaim, Chaim.
Were there
Sorry,
more
Rabbi
questions
Dub.
for Rabbi Dubov?
Huh?
Were there more questions for Rabbi Dubov?
I think there was a request for a specific niggin. I just unmuted you.
Me?
No, Joseph Mikowitz.
No. I wasn't a nigga. I was having a conversation with Darren. But
Okay.
First Rabbi Dubov, I was at a shiur not long ago. A big Mishnah guy was talking about the whole Indian that he doesn't understand why we are so mazir in gebrochts. It's bishul achar bishul. His matzah is finished. He gave a whole pshat, a very beautiful pshat. I came over to him afterwards. I said, "You don't understand. If you're talking about matzah al pi nigla, you have to have a good shaila. But if you're talking about matzah al pi chsidis, it's a whole different ballgame." The Alter Rebbe explains in the Likutei Torah that matzah cannot have even a chash of anything. But yet, on Achan Shel Pesach, when we're already a little bit more mature, we can taste a little bit of matzah that possibly can have gebracht, and then we go to Shtei Alechem and Shmuas. It all fits in with what you were saying.
The Rebbe has a stich on that. Okay.
Rabbi Tenenhaus, you share with us a good word. I see Rabbi Yosef Yunik is here. Maybe he could say a few words. His father was so zeicha to be mishamish to the Rebbe's mother.
Okay. He is now unmuted.
Maybe he could share with us something. Say l'chaim. Really, Rabbi Yunik, maybe you'll share with us something from your youth.
He's unmuted.
You're unmuted.
It's an opportunity.
Say something.
I have nothing what to say. I'm sorry, but I'm tongue-tied. It was a beautiful shiur. More than which everybody a good made. Sollen wir Shem kennen durchführen. Der Rebbe should take off the alle Yisurim auf die ganze Welt heint. Wir sagen, dass die gute Mitte war schlimm bei mir zu schauen. Thank you for the story of my father. It was really very nice. I love it. Okay, go to my.
We want to hear something from you. Yeah.
Maybe another time. I can't, put together quickly like this. Sorry.
Your father used to help the Rebbe's mother for Pesach?
Yeah.
What? I know this daughter she had by the Rebbe upstairs, right? But the rest of the Yom Tov, she would.
Ich weiß es schon, but he always used to help out in the house. I used to go with him as a little kid many times. So Alman always helped him. It was something normal, but I can't say anything in specific. Emotional,
You remember any Hidurim she used to have in Pesach? Or?
No. Das gedenk ich nicht die ganzen. On the gay Pesach. We used to come there very often, almost every week. I used to be there every 2 weeks. And my father, ich kann es sagen, als ich gedenk, especially etwas von Pesach. maybe my brother from Baruch Halav Shalom would have remembered, but unfortunately,
The matzah that the Rebbe
you
gave
know,
for you.
he's not here.
Honey's outside.
Yeah.
If you want to
Okay.
come.
But your father used to get a whole matzah, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
At night or,
Yeah.
or by day?
Yeah. Attack Yemolt, which I should say, on the mice with the elevator. So when the Bridolach, it was later, and Agilumen the Rashag. So when the Rebbe already stopped giving matzahs, so my brothers who were there also, I'm looking right on Rebbe, and they got already their matzah. So I told my father that he should, let the Rashag go, or the Del watch him, and there's no gain them in a matzah. So my father had gesagt, don't worry, kriegen matzah is fine, nicht, aber his job is to bring back the Rashag home. Just when the Bridolach went over and they got their matzah, so the Rebbe gesagt, dacht sich, als es Felder Mitzer, and he gave her Taten a ganze matzah.
But he used to always take the Rashag upstairs, yeah.
Yeah, always.
Each night.
Yeah, he used to take him upstairs, downstairs. Some davening in the morning, he used to come and he used to take him to the car. Yeah, to phone to the yeshiva. So my father, he used to go special in the morning, and später fährt er fahren auf der Arbeit. Yeah. Yeah.
Good.
Okay, a good night, and
Good night, everyone.
And a shekoyach, thank you.
My pleasure. Rabbi Tannenhaus, you got you. Who else did you say is going to say something?
I think Rabbi Feiner knows.
You should open the floor to everyone. Everyone who wants to say something. It's a Farbrengen. Everyone can say l'chaim.
Rabbi Feiner.
Okay, everybody's been unmuted. Somebody specific asks, like to share. Okay, it's probably smarter if somebody would like to share something, you can just hit the chat button and I'm happy to unmute you. Because a lot of people are just have background noise on. Let's see. Speak up now. Anybody like to share with us? Here. Okay.
Rabbi Dubov, you said something very interesting, that we have to live every day, and as if we learn something new every day. So I'm over 60, and I've said Bir Chametz most of my life. And I noticed a prat in the Siddur today that's very pertaining to this whole pandemic where we can't be together and go to shul. When we burnt the Chametz on Wednesday afternoon, it says the following in the Siddur. V'yem yula yudalat b'shohei yasel medura b'fnei atzmei. I always used to go in shul with 50 chevrim at the make a big madura. They fought b'fnei atzmei. Every single person made a little fire for themselves, as if we were instructed that we shouldn't despair. It says in the Siddur that how we have to burn the chametz b'fnei atzmei. So every day you learn something new.
All right. Rabbi Rappaport, trying to unmute him. Rabbi Rappaport, do you like to share with us? I'm Chaim.
Chaim, I very much enjoyed this as much as everyone else did. Very beautiful and meaningful way to Farbrengen and the Rebbe's father's yahrzeit. Really geschmack, really nice. Schwer. Chaim.
Since I'll say a few words. Yeah. Am I on?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm on. No, it just reminded me. I want to say this to Ilan Nishma son, unfortunately, who passed away just before Yom Tov. And I'm going to share with you, came to my mind two things. One thing is, I think, the man who was the Schus Nifla that Rabbi Levi Corona had, Meshamish the Rebbe over 40 years, Eved Nemon. And so I'm going to share with you one interesting that he told me, and also another Yid, unfortunately, who also passed away recently, Rab Mordechai Gerari. So first about Rab Mordechai Gerari, it's very interesting. You should all read it. His father was also called Mordechai Gerari. Unfortunately, his father passed away when Rab Mordechai's mother was still pregnant with him. And that's why he was called Rab Mordechai ben Rab Mordechai. And this was a student. The father was a Makurev, very, very close to the Rebbe's father's house. And he used to come, he was in college, as I understand, in the Katinislav area. And he used to come many, he used to drezach in the house of the Rebbe's father. The Rebbe's father loved him, Rabbi Levi Yitzchok. Unfortunately, in the year, I think it was Tzadik Hey, or maybe Tzadik Dalad, I think it was Tzadik Hey. Chof Sivan was a Friday, and he went to the mikveh, and unfortunately, he drowned. Very, very sad story. And his wife at that time was pregnant with Rab Mordechai. So, and the Rebbe's mother, Reb Sanchana, in the diaries writes about this person, and also writes about the whole process of who he was and the Levaya. He calls him Matya, I think, Matya Gerari. It's interesting that the Rebbe's brother, Rabbi Leib, left Russia and took his name. Because when the Rebbe's brother, Label, was not called Schneerson. He seems like I don't know all the details, but he left Russia under the name of Gerari. And even when he was in Yisrael, even when he was in Liverpool, nobody knew his name was, nobody associated him at that time with the Rebbe. These who didn't know him, at least, because he was called Gerari, So, but this was after this person who passed away in Tzadik Hey. The Rebbe's father took his name. I don't know the details because he left before, but when he had it, he took over his name. Anyways, so so you read over there. It's a lot of his print. I'm thinking one interesting story that he told me. So he said that as Akdome, this after they left Russia, this Mordechai Gerari, he was a Yosim, and then he came out of Russia in 46, 47, and he was very a Bocha then, and he learned in Yeshiva of France. The Rebbe wrote Rab Nissen Nemenov in a letter, and it's printed. Somebody sent recently, was going around, the day of his passing. It doesn't say name in Igris, but the Rebbe writes, there's a certain Bocha Bayu. I knew his father very, very well. He used to dreza payos in the house, and we were very close. And I want you to keep an eye on him, a special, you should look after him. And I don't know if this was to Rab Nissen or this was to the Bocha, but the Rebbe asked him, I want you to send me a picture of yourself. The Rebbe never saw this boy. The Rebbe left Russian Peches. He was born in the Tzaddiks. but the Rebbe knew the. So he told me that his mother told him that when it came to his levaya, so the Rebbe told the Cheved Kedisha that the Rebbe's father told the Cheved Kedisha that he wants that he was a Bal Mesiras Nefesh. He kept mitzvahs even though he was in school. And those days, being a Shem Eter mitzvahs in college, he had effect on his chavedim. He used to mivtzoyim. The Rebbe's father used to help him a lot. To do mivtzoyim in college. So the Rebbe's father said that he deserves a mokum choshuv. They should find a choshuv place in the cemetery for him. I don't know why. What he told me at that time, the Rebbe's father had something with his foot. He wasn't running around. He had some pain, whatever. So he gave up to the Cheved Kedisha that they should find a proper mechubedik place for this is Matye Gerari, Motche Gerari. So they came back and they told him where it is, and he wasn't happy. And the Rebbe's father himself went, even though he had this pain in his foot, he went to the cemetery. He was walking all around here, there, until he came to a spot where on one side they buried Sifrei Toides, old Sifrei Toides. The other side was one of the previous Rabbonim of Yekaterinslav, Lavafke, the one who was right before the Rebbe's father, but he was one of the Dayonim or Rabbonim that were in Yekaterinslav. And in the middle, between, there was a spot. And the Rebbe's father right away said, "Oh, Do's Omelam Legen," and that's where he was buried. He told me he tried many times. He went back to Yekaterinslav, to the cemetery to try to find it, but there's so much upheavals and everything. He couldn't really find the Mokem Hamaduyik of where he knew the general vicinity, but not where, unfortunately, his father passed away. So this is what I heard from Ramotche Gerari. We should have a Emes Aliyah. And Rabbi Levi Yitzchok told me, I once went to him. I called him up. He was very nice to me. And I said, I'm working on the Rebbe's father's Inyonim. And I have a couple of questions. And I wanted to know if you can, if you remember certain things, if you would be glad to share with me. So he said, come over, no problem. And I remember then I sat with him privately in his house for maybe an hour and a half. We were Farbrengen. He took out L'chaim, said L'chaim together. And he was telling me different stories. What I really wanted to get from him is that I heard this from Rabbi Bucket from California, Rabbi Yossi Bucket, that he told me he lived in East Flatbush. Now, Stama said, this is Mordechai Gerari, the mother, as I said before, her husband passed away in the Tzaddiks. Years later, she married a Yid that was called Rab Zalman Haditcher. He was called Rab Zalman Levitin. I saw him from pictures. He passed away in the early Lameds, I think. In the middle Lameds, Lamed Zayin, I think, Lamed Vo, Lamed Zayin. I don't remember. I just know him from pictures that I saw by Farbrengens. And he lived next to Rabbi Bucket in East Flatbush. He had an unbelievable handwriting, very clear, even though he was an Elter Yid. He wrote very, very clear. Now, people don't know this, but I will tell you that the Rebbe started to print his father's Sforim only 25 years after the Stalkers from the Rebbe's father. The Rebbe's father passed away in Tufshin Dalet. We don't know, Adayoim, we don't know why. And it was heard by Chassidim. We know that the Rebbe's mother would tell people she would love that her husband's Torah. And now, just to tell you the history, the Rebbe when did he get his Sforim? The Rebbe constantly was working behind the scenes, secretly, no one knew about it. Finally, you can read the history, it was printed by Chabad, a lot of things are not known. But ultimately, the Rebbe got his father's Sforim on the Zohar was Tov Shin Chof, 1960. The first time the Rebbe said it by Farbrengen was Shabbos Pasha B'Shalach. You could read it. It's in Teres Machas Paduyis. The Rebbe mentioned that he got his father's Sforim. I'm sure he gave the Psura Teva to the Rebbe's mother. I can imagine. But for some reason, the Rebbe only gave the permission to print his father's Svarim was Chof of Tov Shin Chof Tes. Other Yom, we have no, the Rebbe didn't, no one asked, no, the Rebbe wouldn't tell anyone, but 25 years. It's interesting to note, once we're talking on this topic, that Chaim Shol Brook pointed it out to me. He told me that it was punkt also exactly 25 years after the stalkers of the Rebbe's mother. Tovshin Chafev of Tishrei was the stalkers. And 25 years later, you see, so always by the Rebbe, the years were exactly, in line. Tovshin Nun, the Rebbe spoke a sicha about his mother's on the yard side. It was downstairs a sicha. And the whole sicha was about the Tiksovim from the father. And then the Rebbe said, I'm ready to kavod. The Rebbe promised. The Rebbe said that he spoke over, he says, there's still, he believes, thousands of boigins, of pages that are still in Russia. And he said that the schus, when we learn his father's Torah, this will bring that we will be able to find, this will be the way how we will find the other Ksovim. So by learning the Rebbe's father's Torah and being mefarsim and learning, will ultimately bring the other part of the Rebbe's Avtocha, that we should be able to find the other kisviyat from the Rebbe's father somewhere, which is Ada Yoim, we don't know where it is, the Chabal al Abdin. Anyway, so if you some of the things the library gave me copies or pictures. The Rebbe's father had a very, he wrote very, very small, and he tried to, pack in as much as possible in the few lines in the space that he had. And you have to really, a normal person really cannot understand his writings. So practically, it was impossible just that the Rebbe should give this sefer to Rabbi Schusterman and to tell him, oh, go print it. It would take him hours to decipher the words that he writes over there. So what the Rebbe did not two people know this, the Rebbe gave this to Rab Zalman Haditcher, and the Rebbe told him to write over the entire sefer by Struis in a notebook or whatever. And that's what he did. He sat day and night and he wrote over every single pirush on the Zohar, and once he finished, he gave it over to this is what the Mordechai guy told me. Now you have to understand that even with the greatest things, I could tell you there's like little typo mistakes. A reish and a dalet could be so similar, and there's still a lot of unfortunate mistakes there that not because he did an unbelievable work, but like a dalet and a beis, he could write Pedig beis, really it's Pedig dalet. These things you have to look up, but these are small nuances, mistakes, which the writing was so small and so over the years also it faded, the ink, especially if it was at the end of the page, that it was unbelievable to me. It's mind-boggling how this guy figured it out. I'm telling you, it's nicht zu glauben. So there were many, many words that he himself couldn't figure out. This is what Rabbi Booker told me. And Svai that he wouldn't bother that every day, but when he had accumulated 10, 20, 30 words they didn't know, he would write on a piece of paper, this omud, this line, this shura, the bamaschel, I can't figure out what this word is, and he would ask so from time to time, he would send back the original sefer to the Rebbe with his questions, and right away that day the Rebbe would answer, and he would then get it back. So Rabbi Booker told me that I had the schus to be the shikingel. I lived in East Flatbush then. I used to go in the morning to Chassidus in 770. Rabbi Zalman Haditcher would give me in an envelope, he would give me the sefer with his questions inside. When I would go home at night, I would deliver it. He would sleep at home. I would have to say the Chassidus at night, whatever. He would go and deliver it. So he remembers that many, many times in those years, in Biket of Shalamed, Lamed Aleph, Lamed Beis, that he was the shikingel. So he had that schus. So that was one of the questions I asked Rabbi Leib if he remembers this. So he told me no, that he doesn't remember. And I could be went to Rabbi Chodakov in those years, so he just says that he doesn't remember. But he did tell me one interesting thing. He said that he told me a very interesting story. He told me which I never knew before. I'll share it with you. I heard from him. I'm saying it b'schusay, from this special man, that he said that the Rebbe had in his room a table, and it was the Rebbe Marash's tish. The Rebbe Marash made this table. So how did he get to tell me that? He told me that Bechlal, the Rebbe was so careful that he did not put anything on that table. You couldn't, that was a halakha tish by the Rebbe. And the Rebbe chose which things yeah, which things not. There wasn't stammers that you could put down here. That table befrat was very halakha by the Rebbe. But he said he remembers when they brought the Rebbe's father Svarim into the Rebbe's room. He said the Rebbe told him leges afentish. So the Rebbe's father Svarim, the 3 krochim of the Rabbi Levi Yitzchok, the Ksaviyat from the Rebbe's father. The Rebbe's this is what Rabbi Levi told me, that the Rebbe told him to put it on the table. And then once he was there, he told me, how did the Rebbe get Bechlal that table? So he said that when the Rebbe went to France to meet his mother, the Rebbe's in Chana, in Tovshin Zayin, so the Rebbe met over there. The Rebbe Marash, his youngest son, was named Reb Nachum Mendel. Reb Nachum Mendel, these know the history. He left Russia and he moved to France. The time the Rebbe came, he already passed away. And I'm sure you know it's a famous story that his guf, by the way, the Rebbe wanted should be transferred from France to Tzfas. He's buried in his kvura, his mokim kvura is in Tzfas. And the story goes that his guf was also Kemat Sholem. Mamash, he was a guf Kodesh. So the Rebbe met then his daughters in France. And was mishpacha. So they told the Rebbe that they have this table that the Rebbe Marash gave to Rabbi Nachum Mendel, and they want to give it a gift to the Rebbe. And he told me they made a condition with the Rebbe. This is what they said. We don't want you to give this to the Frierdiker Rebbe. We want this, we're giving you this gift for you. If you promise you'll keep it, then we'll ask. Of course, the Rebbe accepted, and he told me that the Rebbe took it apart, take it onto the boat. The legs were taken apart, wrapped up, and the whole top was also wrapped up. And when the Rebbe came with his mother in Tovshin Zayin, the Rebbe brought this table with him. And he told me that from Tovshin Zayin, this table never ever left the Rebbe's room. This was a personal gift from Rabbi Nachum Mendel's daughters to the Rebbe, and he got it, and he took it as a personal gift, and he just said this was a halakha table by the Rebbe. It was the actual Maisa Yodov from the Rebbe Marash who made it, and he wouldn't just put on anything. But this, I just want to conclude my part from the Farbrengen, Leila Nishmas. We all owe a tremendous gratitude to this maskir. I'm sure he helped everyone. His Ibigir to the Rebbe was, nish zu gläuben. If you just think, how a person could stand by dollars and move his hands, just like the Rebbe did. So the Rebbe was a Rebbe, but he wasn't a Rebbe. He had must have been a special bracha, and the next morning he was back to work like normal, and the hours and hours that he was dedicated, and the Eved Nemon is something that we can, is something to admire. So just going to conclude the story that he told me that when the Rebbe got the Svarim, the Rebbe said that he wants that they should leave the Svarim, they should put it on the Rebbe Maras's tish. Chaim l'chaim l'chaim.
Yeah, I just wanted to say today is Shliach Rabbi Dubov and everyone who arranged it. It's my son's birthday, my son and daughter. So it's a special day for my family. Yaakov Krishna. My son was named Levi Yitzchok. He was born on Nissan. I didn't even know then that it was Levi Yitzchok's birthday. And Baruch Hashem, before the bris, someone told me. So I found that on time, but anyway, l'chaim.
I have to go off now. So wish everyone a good moed, a good Yom Tov, and all them Suras Teva Simchas Bayid.
Thank you very much, Rabbi Dubov, and thank you for Rabbi Feiner for hosting. And we should only hear Suras Tevis, B'Teva Nir V'Nigle, V'Seich Kal Yisrael.
If anybody else would like to Farbrengen, you're more than welcome.
Book it for Brian.
Done with all religious churches.
How many rolls of toilet paper do they have?
Together,
I think you need to make the
right back.
King. You see if the Queen of England.
No. Say them as the robbers.
Perhaps.
Fascinating stories now, though.
I didn't hear it.
Fascinating stories they come over.
One of the interesting live.
I haven't done happy who knows how long.
It's interesting. One of the first questions
It's
we
making my brain hurt because I feel like I know how to do it, but I can't.
It says that the matzah has to be a complete matzah. The question is, why do we have to have a complete matzah and break it out? Break the matzah. What is the meaning of breaking
the Judah?
Two parts and having a bigger piece and a smaller piece? Rebbe's father explained
It's an extra credit question.
that based on also
That's their way of a number of robbers were discussing the best way to share some stolen rolls of toilet.
Rabbi Wolf.
Yes.
Those that are still on the call on the Farbrengen, would like to share with us some words.
Perhaps I can share a story that I heard firsthand from a fellow whose father and himself as a boy was a mispalel by Rebbe Levi in shul. And he told me the following story. I heard it from him about 21 years ago. I was in Eretz Yisrael. I was staying by Rabbi Yosef Tzvi Segal. And I wasn't feeling well, so he said, go and see this and this doctor, which was a Russian fellow, an elderly man. He had his office in his home, and he came from Dnipropetrovsk. So I asked him if he knew the Rebbe's father. So he said yes. And he was a Fuma Yid, and he told me the following story. It was Shavuos in the Fli, and Rebbe Levi said Akdomis. So there was a younger man over there by the name of Rebbe Tzalel Volshansky. He later on, Rebbe Tzalel, I knew him from Australia. He moved to Melbourne, and he was from the older Chassidim. But as a younger man, he was a starker chassid of the Frierdiker Rebbe. So he went over to Rebbe Levi and he said, "Bei unser Rebbe sagt man nicht Akdomis." That's what he said. So Rebbe Levi turned to him and he said, "Und Chassidus hast du gelernt die ganze Nacht." It was Shavuos in the morning. Chassidus hast du gelernt die ganze Nacht. Du kannst gehen sagen, Thomas, kannst sagen. Ad Khan, I heard from him.
Okay. I can make a l'chaim. If you mention Australia, Rabbi Gorelik, my Schwager's father, Chaim Elazar, Shaver for Shlema. He was very much involved in the Matseva. It was written up last year, the year before in Kfar Chabad, where he made sure to have a new Matseva set up for Rebbe Levi. Chaim Elazar ben Bela, Shaver for Shlema. Okay, if anybody else would like to join.
Taro,
Anybody else would
Velecha,
like to join?
Adova,
To break into parts is
Od,
Oh, guys,
the
come on,
smaller
we're
piece on
dumb.
the back
Zafa,
represents the Hebrew
Asos,
potato.
Can I touch the candle? I know how to do why.
All right. There's another Farbrengen starting in a few minutes. I don't know where. I'll send a link.
Matzah, which represents and what you're going to eat is fried, because that's the part that has to be. The person has to do the mitzvahs regardless if he understands them or not. In order to appreciate, have the flavor, about the food. You can have plenty of food.